and it's gone. I check other pages, the other companies involved. Sound Cadence, Discotech Media, Justin Savanki's, all gone. Oh, the mythical localization Boogeyman. Well, the Boogeyman just became real and is staring you in the face. They're calling this Gamergate 2. I'm calling this getting exposed. What we have is an infamous YouTuber who somehow ended up working on an anime. They're not working on this out of love, but out of hate. In a now deleted post, they detailed how they hate the source material so much that they've actively been working to ruin the English dub. Or should we say attempted, because funnily enough, they failed so miserably and ended up getting blacklisted in the industry. Before we continue, I need to have a disclaimer for you guys new to this channel, specifically those that are outside of the usual audience. You know who I mean. Listen closely. I know you won't watch this full video because your kind does not listen and dismisses valid critique because it's all just dude bro chuds. You might not even make it here. You'll just screenshot this to your Twitter freaks and complain about the culture war. But what we're gonna go over is beyond whatever you think. This has uncovered the Western anime industry. It's not just about pro or anti-localization, it's about the terrible work conditions that led to this mess. Now, some will sit in the middle, some will take sides. I will take the right side, anti-censorship. And this doesn't mean all localization is bad, because I don't want to discredit honest people's work. In this video, we'll be going over the controversial posts, the responses from the anime industry, and all the hot takes. This whole controversy was brought to light by Twitter user Scratchpoint, which became a viral topic online that forced the English licensors and dubbing companies to respond to the situation. Lovely Complex has a dub written by people who openly despise the script. Okay, so we'll go over this a bit more later, but has might be the incorrect. It might be had because it got changed. So Lovely Complex is a romance anime about a tall girl and then a short king, I guess. I've actually watched this a while ago because I honestly watched a lot of these types of rom-coms and whatnot. But yeah, apparently to this person, JelloApocalpyse, it was problematic and they had to fix it or whatever. They made it better. And they said that Discotech, the licensor, mostly let them do what they want. Unacceptable. So if you're like me, you had no idea who this JelloApocalpyse guy is, but it turns out he's a YouTuber with quite a notorious past, and now they found themselves working in the anime industry as a freelancer slash contractor. As someone who's seen this show probably over 10 years ago, my memory might not be the most accurate, but I do not remember anything too problematic, but, you know, to these types of people, I guess, you know, they're just too sensitive. Anyways, I'm not going to go over the whole thing. I'll read a bit of it, but I'll link the blog post below. So to get a gist of it, you can see this will pretty much sum it up for you. I think we turned an unremarkable and frustrating 3 out of 10 show into a pretty funny and mostly watchable 7 out of 10. I want to show off what we did. Yay! Man, shut the frick up. Like, they really think they turned a 3 out of 10 into a 7 out of 10. Like, there's just no way, honestly. If it was actually 3 out of 10, it's unwatchable no matter what. But I'm going to be real with you guys. From what I watched, I mean, I don't remember much. I think it was probably a 7 out of 10 at best. But yeah. But then they go on to talk about, you know, they're insulting the mangaka, talking about how, let's see. This is one of those series that was written by a very strange person. Kind of like 50 Grades of Shade. 50, God, the mental is getting to me, man. The 50 Grades of Shade. 50 Shades of Grade. 50 Shades of Gray. Throughout the whole blog post, they're constantly talking about how the show effing sucked. We made it good. This show sucked. All caps, exclamation mark. Now, I tell this person to go get another job. Like, can I get some fries with that, please? But for real, though, I'll be waiting for my order, and this person's in the back and being like, oh, this burger sucks. I'm gonna make it better. And then they're gonna spray their stupid mayonnaise all over it. Nah, fuck your mayonnaise. Give me my sandwich. If you think you can make a better burger, go make your own restaurant. If you think you can make a better anime, go make your own better anime instead of ruining someone else's property. But these types of people, they don't know about property because they're all same type of people looting stores or setting a car on fire. Yeah, these people don't know a thing about property. So they ran the script through sensitivity readers and hired people from specific groups, which we'll see is 20 trans/NB actors. And if you're not terminally online, NB means non-binary. It's one of the transiest anime dubs in existence, if not the Me, Transy, yes. Okay, so this is a big problem with the whole Western anime industry, not just with this situation, but people like JelloApocalpyse are working on this because they know someone that got them in. Like, they're a friend of someone, and these people are also friends of these. Like, it's all people that all like each other. So it creates this whole echo chamber, and honestly, people that might not be qualified are getting in, or people that shouldn't be working on this, like this guy that literally hates the anime, are working on it. And the funny part is JelloApocalpyse, and as we'll see later, many of these people, they are not getting paid at all to do this. They're literally working for free on an anime they hate. Like, you gotta have nothing to do in your life that you're actually working on something you hate for free. There's a bit more reasons to this, but we'll get to that later. The problem runs outside of anime. It's really everything because of DEI and like affirmative action in the job market to the academic system. You'll have the Asian kid with maxed out test scores, and then another person with like a, more minority background that checks the boxes, and they might let them in because of quote unquote diversity reasons. So the post also confirms the dishonest practices of Western anime companies where they hide changes that would upset anime fans. An example being, most anime distributors do tend to ask that you don't advertise changes like making things less transphobic. This is because large swaths of the anime community are racist, sexist, transphobic, etc. Alright, so I'm gonna be real with you guys, about that racism stuff. Let's just say, hello monkeys. Yeah, Frieza was valid. If we didn't have him trying to kill an entire race of people, we wouldn't have Super Saiyan Goku. Checkmate. These people are overly sensitive, and they have to push their political ideologies that they would probably eliminate 90% of all media because they can't separate fiction from reality. So let's go over the official response from the companies involved. The first one being Sound Cadence, the dubbing company. Breaking news, guys. So while I'm literally in the middle of making this video, I found something absolutely crazy. So the way it works is when I make these, I take a screenshot of tweets and footage that I think is going to get deleted. For other things, I'll have it in a browser tab or a document with the URL. And so I go and refresh the page, and it's gone. I check other pages, the other companies involved. Sound Cadence, Discotech Media, Justin Savanki's, all gone. Fortunately, I did find a picture of one of the responses in a quote tweet that I took a picture of earlier. But if you were to search the sentence, you wouldn't be able to find it. If you were to go on their pages, Sound Cadence, Discotech, Justin Savanki's, you would not find these tweets anymore. Never in my wildest dreams would I expect an official company's response to be deleted, but hey, it just happened, and it's unprofessional, and it is suspicious. Alright, so back to the rest of the video, which I don't have footage for this part because of what I just said. So they state that they had many layers of supervision, and it turns out this mitigation helped because the edit didn't contain one of the worst things that JelloApocalpyse wanted to do, which he wanted to erase the mangaka from their own show, her own show. So yeah, I guess that talentless hack didn't even make the final cut. You have to wonder, with all those layers of supervision, is it actually working, or is it just a bunch of bloat, a bunch of fat that needs to be trimmed from all the middlemen? Because the only reason this freelancer got involved was because he was friends with Marissa Lenti, who has actual working relationships with Sound Cadence Studios, Discotech, and Toei Animation. Basically, Marissa Lenti is part of these so-called layers of supervision that they claim to have. So this means their so-called layers of supervision aren't actually working because she's fully aware of the fact that JelloApocalpyse actively despises the show they're working on because they're actually sending Discord messages to each other on the regular. And now let's go over the official response from Discotech, the licensing company. So in summary, they talk about how dubs punch up the comedy and smooth up the rough patches, and subs are where it's at if you want the accuracy. And because of this individual's lack of professional discretion, they will not be working with him in the future, aka JelloApocalpyse is blacklisted from the industry. But the wording on this response seems a bit suspicious and leaves a bit more questions to be answered. Why do dubs have to punch up the comedy? Is it because the Twitter Zoomers, where the English version has to have a joke every 30 seconds because their attention span is so low that they're just going to fall asleep if they don't have some funny moment every 30 seconds? And why do they have to smooth the rough patches for the intended audience and intended response? Who's the intended audience? Like, isn't it supposed to be the same as the Japanese audience? Or is this supposed to be like the modern Western audience? Now, I know some things can't be translated perfectly, such as when you have a bunch of jokes and wordplay, such as with Monogatari, or with things involving a lot of music, like Paripikome. In those cases, it might be fine, but in the vast majority of cases, there's no need. And when they say disappointed by lack of professional discretion, it sounds like they just got caught and now they have to blacklist him because he got caught. And if he didn't get caught, well, nothing would have happened. And a lot of people in the, I'm going to call it the pro-localization community, are kind of echoing this statement. The alterations made to the lovely complex dub are whatever to me, but my problem was that Jello/Brendan's lack of discretion. So notice how they say the alterations are whatever. Basically, they don't mind any changes, any edits to the original script. They don't care if media gets censored. Regardless or not whether it made it to the final cut, no one has been talking about these changes. And in fact, you'll see these pro-localizers actually support these changes. They're more concerned about their internal stuff leaking out than the integrity of their script. The other thing from the official response is that they said they want to satisfy as many fans as possible. Now that sounds like a good thing, but honestly, I hope they don't mean that they want to have one show that satisfies as many as possible, because that's basically the lowest common denominator. If you sell to everyone, you sell to no one, and it's just going to become a bunch of slop that they're going to make as safe as possible for everyone to watch. And then about the little altercation that they're talking about, some people pointed out that they've actually censored subs before. And if this is genuine, like if this response was genuine, why did they turn around and started liking tweets about the anti-localization crowd and the wokeization conspiracies? All the pro-localizers always talk about these arguments where they'll be like, oh, we got all the permissions from Japan, and yeah, if you got all these things and if the creator actually was informed properly, we wouldn't have cases where femboys are turning into trans girls because of some political ideology, and then they have to reprint all the copies. The truth is, these anime producers and all these people in the anime industry, honestly, there's just too much at their hands and too little time, and these mangaka are treated like crap and honestly underpaid, overworked. They don't get their original vision across already as it is. You really have to be like a top 1% mangaka to have any sway in the industry, like Oda with One Piece live action on Netflix. A really infamous example of this is with Sexy Tanaka-san. This happened earlier this year, and honestly, not many people in the West have talked about it. Basically, the manga got a live action adaptation, and it was a bad one that did not match the creator's intentions. And it's a long story and it's really complicated, but unfortunately, it ended up putting a lot of pressure on her and she game ended herself. Yeah, these are really serious things. A lot of these mangaka, like Japanese culture, there's a lot of pressure, the work-life balance sucks, and they probably can't speak up properly. These localizers are not helping when they're actively trying to change things. Because of this incident, it really exposed how so many mangaka and creators in Japan were not getting their original intentions translated properly across other mediums. This was huge news in Japan, and it got the attention of famous mangaka like George Morikawa, the creator of Hajime no Ippo, who took a real hard stance on the matter, that you must respect the original creator's wishes. Other people chimed in too, like government officials Ken Akamatsu. Meanwhile, localizers are actively seeking to censor Japanese media. I have evidence of translators that are actually okay with this, and we'll go over this in the pro-localizers section later. And they act like we're the crazy ones. Anytime you criticize something, they talk about how it's all part of a culture war, and then they start calling you names like chuds and then dogmatic morons. They think that the anti-localizers are beyond any form of discussion, but I just want to put it for the record that I actually mentioned some of these things in my last video. The industry is filled with people that are underpaid and underskilled. But the thing is, if you raise the pay, those unskilled hacks wouldn't be able to compete. Because right now, JelloApocalpyse's salary is actually $0. They're working for free. Anyone with any amount of skill is not working for free because they know that they have value. JelloApocalpyse and all these other people in the industry, they have no value. The Patreon post actually revealed a lot of things about the industry. A lot of things that the insiders didn't want you to know, to be honest. They talked about how they had to make this dub while spending as little money as possible, and it was basically made by asking people to cash in favors. The leads both played their parts for free, and Marissa was set to write and direct the adaptation, also for free. So they're getting all these people to do unpaid labor. Yeah, they definitely don't want you to find out about this. And I don't know, something about cashing in favors seems really suspicious. Like, what type of favors are they cashing in on? Like, I don't know. At the very least, it's a bunch of nepotism going around in this industry. Going back to JelloApocalpyse's post, we can see that the industry is run like a trap house. The other reason this dub took so long is that the production was cursed. Marissa's spine snapped just before they finished directing. Nobuko's actor was literally deported at one point mid-production. What is going on in this industry? Like, someone call the FBI, Border Patrol, or something, because it sounds like they got some undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants working for free in like a sweatshop condition. Yo, this place sounds like it's run like the Krusty Krab. You got like Mr. Krabs managing Squidward, who's trying to get out of his job but can never find a new job. And then you got people like SpongeBob, who loves their job and they're getting abused by the manager and like low pay. Yeah, that sounds exactly like this. You can see where the priorities lie in this industry when they're hiring famous YouTuber celebrities like Moist Critical / Penguin Zero / Charlie, and, well, Charlie ain't working for free, and if he is, do better, Charlie. Instead of eliminating the problems from their workplace, they're using the money on Charlie. Hey, no hate on Charlie, he's just getting his bag. Similar to how it is in the anime industry in Japan, and honestly the entertainment industry across the world, even with comics, video games, etc., these places are run like crack houses. Instead of hiring business-oriented folks that will produce a better quality product for the customer, they're hiring their L's and G's and B's, and yeah, you get the point. Hey, it wasn't me. They said it themselves. This was the transiest dub, and I'm sure outside of the dub, it's like this for the whole Western anime industry across all types of positions. The whole place is just filled with nepotism, people doing favors, friends getting in, instead of skill and qualifications. Before we go over the outrage from what I call the pro localizers, we have to see what's going on with people with a neutral take. So in a now deleted tweet, this person, who I believe had good intentions, tried to play both sides, criticizing anti-localizers and pro-localizers for giving into censorship. They got absolutely destroyed in the quote tweets, which is probably why they deleted their posts. Nah, F your both sides BS. Most of the anti-localization crowd knows how to avoid media they don't like, while the pro crowd seeks to destroy. I doubt most of the anti-crowd is into the gay yaoi crap, but they still called out the localization done against it, which is perfectly illustrated when they changed the femboy character into a trans character. And this is true, a lot of people did not read this, but a lot of people were against the censorship of this series. For the record, I'm against all censorship, from gay femboys to space lesbians to Middle East Spider-Man. Now we're gonna go over the responses from the community, including those from industry insiders. More localization controversy. My absolute best advice to new / aspiring translators: in this current climate, find yourself a group chat of trusted friends and or industry peers. Need to vent? Discord. Wanna brag? Discord. Tweak the story? Soften some bigotry? Discord. It's not safe to be transparent and talk about what our job is actually like. Your swag is too different. You'd think the first thing anyone would do is criticize the actions of JelloApocalpyse and criticize all the production behind the lovely complex dub, but the first thing these people do is go into hiding on Discord and vent about how people are killing them. Yeah, I see where your priorities are, and these are industry people too. These are actual translators. Why are they going to hiding if these things aren't actually real? Well, it turns out it is real. Actually F Brendan for filling out the checkboxes of a localizer Boogeyman for drying out his undies on the internet for all to see. Legitimately F you. You are perpetuating the chud nonsense. So a boogeyman is supposed to be some mythological creature, some fictional monster. Well, that monster is real now. It's not mythical. The fabled boogeyman is real, and his name is Brendan / JelloApocalpyse. And they talk about this chud nonsense. Well, if it's nonsense, then why is it real? Why is it happening? Why are you so scared? Why are you mad? This makes you make no sense. And the responses to this were as expected. Everyone just clowned on them for this ridiculous take, and they got absolutely ratioed in the quote tweets. So when it comes to these types of people, instead of addressing any of the criticisms and the situation at hand, they like to resort to strawman arguments and downplay the situation. So they state the anti-localization crowd want to make a big deal out of it when it isn't. Look, talking about making a big deal out of something when it isn't, yeah, I'm not trying to get canceled. But yeah, this is aging like wine or milk, depending on what side you're on. Like, the official companies deleting their tweets, this is probably going to be the next Dragon Maid. Sorry to break it to you guys. People brush off the situation and just say that it's a wokeification conspiracy, and that if they actually did this type of stuff, they would be fired, working as intended. And then there was a comment saying, isn't the reason other localizers are mad at him and the reason he got fired was because he was unprofessional and he revealed stuff he shouldn't have? And so they linked a tweet which exactly had that, and to that translator's response they said, both things can be true at the same time, that too much change happened and maybe he shouldn't have been talking about who did or didn't get paid. Basically, they're saying that both things are bad. But if both things are bad, then how come the first initial response from all these translator industry type people was to talk about the discretion part? None of them, the first thing they should have done, especially if they knew that there's an anti-localization woke conspiracy people to get them, the first thing they should have done was to acknowledge that these changes are unprofessional and that they should never have said anything about these changes. They should have adapted the script faithfully, but no, a lot of these types of people, they reacted in this way. So if both things can be true, then why are you not talking about that too much change happened? Well, it's because a lot of these types, not all of them, but they actually want these changes to happen. So they're not talking about that too much change happened. They want those changes to happen. And this is coming from professionals in the field. These types of opinions can range from thinking that the altercations were whatever to professional translators of over 22 years talking that taking too many liberties with an anime, 99% of the time, it's because the localizer lightly edited racist / transphobic / homophobic content in the source material. Yeah, and then they blocked this guy for pointing it out. So basically, they're for those changes, at least this person. I said at least this person, but if you scroll around, you would have found a lot of people actually supporting censorship. We got this post from Katsune Miku, which I'm gonna have to admit is a really cool name. Hey anime fans, cry about it /Jen. Tweaking a script to avoid the show being incredibly crappy is just objectively the right thing to do, honestly. Weebs need to learn to grow the heck up /Jen. Alright, what is it with this TikTok, Twitter, Zoomer /Jen thing? Anyway, so I'm sorry, but the source material having open transphobia does suck, and there is nothing wrong with making the show less egregiously offensive to appeal to a wider audience that's more in line with the time it's being released. There is nothing wrong. Yeah, so there is something wrong, and I mentioned this earlier with my Frieza example, and honestly any character that's bad, like you what's wrong with having bad things? Anyways, this person is an aspiring voice actor in their bio, voice artists with these flags, red flags. These are the types of people trying to get into the industry. This is wrong. If these are the types of people getting into the industry, well, I can see why it is the way it is. See, if you're a part of that one group, because if you're part of the alphabet, you're an ally, so things are looking a little bit different to you. Looking into things further, I think JelloApocalpyse has actually been misrepresented and was in the right to trash talk a wildly transphobic original script. There's definitely a conversation he had about how to deal with translations of dated, bigoted material. The persona controversy immediately comes to mind, but regardless, in this case, Jello was not actually being misogynist or even egotistical, but a good ally. That's right, he was just a good ally. I hope you're just kidding with that name of yours. Look, I don't care how many of these trans panic episodes you don't like. It should be possible to make 12 episodes of trans panic episodes. It should be possible to make a One Piece length anime full of trans panic episodes. Alright, these people are crazy. It's lovely complex. It's really not that complicated. They talking about like they seen Boku no Pico, or I guess Himegoto, if you know what that is. Alright guys, subscribe to the video, like it if you like it, and let me know what you think. Also, I made a Patreon account, and I know some of you thinking, oh my god, he doesn't even have 2,000 subscribers yet, and he's already making a Patreon. No, I'm not asking for money. It's actually free to join, which I just found out. So in case this account gets nuked, because you know how it is with YouTube, I got a place that I can have a backup. Yeah, it's free to join, but if you want to donate to me, I'm not going to complain. Wink, wink. Also, link my X/Twitter below. Seriously, guys, check out my Patreon. I kid you not, I've been staring at this thing for like an hour now, and let me know what you think. This thing might be a work of art.